The following is a public access production. It is not produced, sponsored, or endorsed by this station, the local government, or the cable providers. The program producer is solely responsible for the content of this program.
Hello, welcome to John McHugh Real Estate. Thank you for joining us. Today we have Rachel Jacobs. She's a field marketing specialist with Coldwell Banker, and she represents the Rhode Island, New York, and all of New England regions. Thank you for joining us, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, John.
I'm really glad to have you here. Rachel, I have been trying to come up in my own mind what your job is all about. And if I were to get it in a couple sentences, one or two, it's really difficult based on all of the things that I've done with you and that I see you do.
Yes.
How do you describe your job?
So it is a bit all-encompassing when it comes to marketing. I'm a part of the strategy studio with Coldwell Banker. So that's our in-house marketing agency, and I'm here to talk strategy when it comes to marketing with the agents. So that can be anything from like branding to using our tools, anything really. I do a lot of social media, so it's a little bit of everything. You know, sometimes there might be a little like therapy, life coaching that comes into play,
Nice.
But yeah, a little bit of everything, but it's all about marketing.
It's all about marketing,
Yeah.
but it sounds like you have exactly the same way of describing it that I did, in that it's all encompassing. And I was looking at all of it, and you seem to work a lot with the technology architecture of the company and all that the company, which you could do this with any company,
Yeah.
has to offer. And I would start with, we have a system called Desk at Coldwell Banker. And that system basically will have everything in front of you and all the tiles in front of you, all the technology that's available to agents. Would that make sense the way I said it?
Yeah, it's like our intranet, I guess. It has all of our marketing tools. It has all of our transactional tools. I always say it has everything that you need and everything that you don't need right now, but you probably will later.
Right.
Because it can certainly be a little overwhelming because we really do have everything that you could possibly need to be an agent in real estate
Right.
here
I've
in New
noticed
England.
that. It
Yeah.
has like your customer management systems. It has zip forms, which would be electronic signature software, express docs, where you can order postcards or brochures or even name tags or business cards. There's one called Updater, which is one I've used for a long time. Are you familiar with Updater?
Yep.
Where you can plug in, if you have a client moving in or out, you can put in their current address and it'll list where their new systems are going to be, like their cable and telephone. And then there's Prospect Square, and that's another one that helps you keep up with your clients, to send them emails or market reports. Those are just a few examples of all the tiles available on one system that we're talking about that you teach people.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
like
just
barely
one thing.
scratches the surface.
Right.
There is a lot on Desk. Yeah.
There's a lot on Desk,
Yeah.
and that's something that you're really good at. So all of
Yeah.
those different systems of software, how did you learn how to master all of them and teach them?
Well, I've been with the company for 10 years in 2 weeks. So it's almost my 10 years.
Congrats,
Thank
that's
you.
great.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
it's been a
long
while.
time.
But it's really cool to see how it evolves too. And, you know, I always say, like, you know, any business anywhere, or not even just business, just in people's lives, you know, when there's updates to technology, like, oh, why'd they have to change it? Well, things have to change because, you know, we're not working off of flip phones, though I hear they're maybe coming back I don't know, for aesthetics, I think. But, you know, technology changes. So we try to keep on top of what's the newest and latest. And it's up to me to learn that, sometimes on the fly. Sometimes we have, you know, months and months of prep before we roll it out. It really depends on what it is. Like social media can change overnight, as we know. You know, they can change the whole interface of a system like Facebook or Instagram, and I kind of have to get familiar with it right away before I go into my next meeting. But, you know, it's just a part of my job, just learning, you know, what the newest and latest is out there so that I can help the people that I'm working with.
There was a thing I thought of when I was coming up with this, and I'll touch on it because you just mentioned part of it. I remember when I bought the first iPad, the first one that came out right away, and normally I'll wait until something comes out and it's been tested or more affordable, but I said, I'm just going to get it, you know, it'll save me time with a laptop and what have you. And I had read shortly thereafter that when the first iPad was launched, that their technology team and their developers and builders were already just about ready to launch the next generation,
Yeah.
the paper thin one that was less expensive and faster. So I was wondering, how do you deal with teaching these systems, teaching someone, an agent and a manager, how this system would work from beginning to end, how to implement client usage with it, when you know something bigger and better is coming right behind it down the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to anticipate change. You have to anticipate, like, okay, this is great for right now, but what if the market changes, or what if these trends turn around? One of the things that I think about all the time is we've been, since 2020 and working from home, we've learned how to use all these great technology tools, and you can roll into a meeting in your pajamas these days and not have the camera on. But
It's crazy. I've seen it happen, especially since everything, people working at home, even real
yeah,
estate agents have been working at home.
yeah, so
Things
that
have changed.
it was great to find out that we could pivot and that we could still do business that way. But I do think that meeting people in person and getting out there is huge. Like, networking is huge in business, and you can't, even though social media and technology is a great tool to get in touch with people, you still need to be out in society working.
I think it's
So
like when you see a
yeah,
celebrity on TV and you fall in love with them on their sitcom or whatever, and then you see a clip of them online, with a fan, whether it's a good experience or bad. I think that there's the person you need to sit with and feel comfortable, especially if you're dealing with $1 million plus investment or any type of major
yeah,
investment like that. We talked about all of those systems, and then that's one thing, the desk operation and all of those tiles and applications that you help with. But for me, I've seen you work a lot on advertising,
mhm,
mailings, digital marketing,
yeah.
lead generation, niche specific targeted marketing. And the last thing that we worked on together was my website. And I found it so impressive that out of all these things, you were also able to detail how to operate and make changes within an agent's website. So out of all of those things, the marketing, the advertising, what's your favorite thing to do and to work on? And how did you learn to do all of that?
Sure. So the website was a bit of a challenge for me to learn. Like, that was definitely a learning curve for me because I have a graphic design background. So you're right. I have been doing advertising forever, but I'm used to traditional print advertising. So layouts for magazine ads, photography, postcards, mailers, even digital advertising. So when the websites first launched and there was that piece that we had to bring into marketing that included, some of that coding. And I mean, fortunately, there's tools that can help you with that, but that was like a different language to me. But it was a challenge, and I like a challenge, so I just kind of kept with it. I attended a ton of learnings on like our learning offerings that are on desk as well. And got a handle of it the best that I could. But my favorite thing that I still get to do is probably the branding, in strategy, because I love that marketing's never one size fits all. I love that every agent I work with is different, every property is different, every market that I get to explore is different. So it just keeps me interested, but I love the branding aspect because it's like, how are we going to get this out to the world? How are we going to present ourselves to the world? So that's what I think is probably my strongest
I've
and
seen
my
that in you
favorite.
because
Yeah.
when you speak on it, it's with knowledge, and I appreciate that. I'm heavily branded myself, and I worked really hard on learning how to do it the right way, or at least the best way that I was comfortable with. And I can appreciate that you are taught that to so many agents as well. When it comes to branding and all of that, and working on all the things that you just mentioned, I find it incredible that you do it in so many different places. Because as we said, New England, Rhode Island, and New York. And not only are you working on branding and things with agents individually, but you're taking the classes and then you're teaching it to managers so they can teach their agents.
Yeah.
So how much time do you spend learning yourself and then teaching the managers before you even roll out the classes?
Honestly, whether it's something that we are teaching in a traditional sense, so like our products at Coldwell Banker, or if it's just something that I'm interested in, because this is, it is a passion of mine. It's an interest of mine. So I'm always learning. So whether, it's something that I'm sitting down during the day, signing up for classes, or if it's, in my free time, I see something that's interesting that I get involved with, it can be anywhere, honestly. I think working in a creative sphere, you can get inspiration from anywhere. And I really do. I really like, I look to it even, when I'm out and about seeing our local businesses here. Like I just rolled into beautiful downtown Natick, and I love seeing the different businesses and exploring who they are and their identity in the community. So I don't know, it's just something that's of interest to me personally. So I think that that helps me professionally.
And I think one of the reasons that we get along so well and that I appreciate what you do is I do have a degree in marketing, with
Yeah.
my business degree. And it's different. Everyone went to school for something different, but it was something I was really interested in, just how to build a brand and how to get the message out there with advertising as a subset of marketing and what have you. I wanted to know, how many different offices do you visit regularly or even in the course of an average week?
Yeah. So I, I think I have about 15 right now, I think. So yeah, that's New England. So mostly Greater Boston, the South Shore, Rhode Island, and our two in Manhattan. But then we also do our national next available. So another thing that we have on desk is, where you can schedule a call with a marketing specialist anywhere across the country. So I can match up with agents anywhere across the country and help them virtually.
Are
So
you on that the call when we have an opportunity to press a button, we can get a 20-minute call
yeah.
that will give us solutions towards solving any type of issue that we have? Are you on that network? Somebody could get
Yes.
you?
Yep.
Oh, that's
That's
great.
me too.
That's great. So
Yeah.
that's part of it. When do you have a designated time when those calls would come in, or is it while you're driving? Can you
No.
believe New York, Rhode Island, New England?
No, it's pretty much anywhere I might have a gap in my schedule. As you can imagine, I don't have that many gaps in my schedule, but if
I
I have
can't imagine, no, because I'm calling you all the time.
if I have a virtual day, sometimes like I'll have like, an hour or so where, I just have some open time. And if they get in early enough, they schedule their time in. But the idea is that you can get anybody nationwide. So, we have a lot of folks that work more than just the one day virtually. So yeah, they can anytime. It's like, I think between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. that you can make an appointment. So it's even before and after hours because we're utilizing the agents across the country. So
That's great. And they do it on Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's great. That's a great way to connect.
Yep.
So as an agent, I have A time, B time, C time traditionally, which would be time I spend with my clients directly face to face, time that I spend prospecting, and then we always want more C time. That's the time in closings, right?
Yes.
So when you have all of the times that you get together like that, I wanted to know, how much time do you spend in meetings generally, talking to other people, your colleagues, and not agents or managers? About.
So for meetings, I probably have 1 or 2 workshops a day. And then I have a couple national calls during the week, but most of my time is honestly one-on-one with agents. I do a lot of agent one-on-ones. We're usually working on projects, whether it's, a branding project or creating a custom logo or marketing a property. So it's a good mix of a little of everything.
So you do
Yeah.
have a good mix. You're not
I do.
spent trying to learn everything yourself and
Yeah.
distribute it, and then feels like you going to your regular job after.
Yeah, I feel that with where I run out of time and I need to schedule more time is the data entry type stuff, like
Right.
the time tracking and okay, let me download all of like my attendance sheets and the admin part of my job. I don't have like that admin part of my brain like fully up to speed. I feel like I do a lot of things creatively, so that's the part that I need to schedule in, and that's the real like I need to get down and get in the admin part of my
So you
life.
have so many different aspects, but it sounds like the ones
Yeah.
that you enjoy the most are always at the forefront. When you say data entry, I think of a common friend we have, Laura Neville, who's a great person. She was
Yeah.
working in the Coldwell Banker office, and her boyfriend Justin was working there too. A great group of people were there. And then when Laura left, she was having a couple of beautiful kids. You came in and started to work in the Wellesley office.
Yeah, and that's how I know you. Actually, I knew you before I even worked at Coldwell Banker.
Which is a great
My very
connection, yeah.
best friend since junior high said, "Why don't you come work for Coldwell Banker?"
The best replacing the best. I
That was
love it.
awesome. And
That's
we did
nice.
we had a little bit of overlap for a while, so there was like a little bit there where we got to work together, which is super fun. But
Data entry
Yeah.
is what made me think of Laura, because I'd always
she's
come
so
back
good
and
at
be like, oh, I've got data entry. And she'd know I'd have to sit there at the desk for like 2.5 hours doing it, but at least she was there to talk to or to annoy the whole time. She was a great sport.
and
huh?
she's so good at like all the aspects of that
Oh,
stuff. I feel
sure.
like she's very organized. I need to get more like
You can
Laura.
see the smile change. You know what I mean? Yeah. I enjoyed my time with her. According to the National Association of Realtors, the typical real estate agent is a 54-year-old white female who attended college. And female realtors make up over 60% of all realtors, and the median age is 52. I found that to be interesting because I have witnessed firsthand different agents. Everyone brings their own background
Yeah.
and has been in the business their own amount of time. But I always take a look at everything as it is with many diverse individuals. And as technology evolves, how do you think things have changed for agents? And how do you think they apply the new technology? Do you think that newer agents have a leg up because they know the more sophisticated software and they know how to do Instagram and social media? Or do you think that all the experience that a longtime agent has, they can just pick up on these things just as easily if you take the two together?
Yeah, you know what? I think that there's room for everybody, honestly. I mean, I see, some of our more seasoned agents who have been doing this a while, and, hopefully as you, get more business and get more successful, like I see a lot of our agents that have, done that with our brand. They have assistants that help them out, or they start to mentor some of these agents that come in that are really into the technology, or they embrace it themselves. So I think that honestly, even in terms of like the competition in the area, there's room for everybody. I mean, think of, all the different types of property we have, all the different agents that are out there. They're honestly, there's something for everybody out there. I do see a lot of the younger agents coming in that are really excited to start their real estate career, and we have everything ready for them to just get going. So whether they're right out of college or wherever they are in life where they've decided that this is their path, we have that technology that they may have learned a little bit about already. And then for those that have been with us for a while, we have everything available to them to either show them how to use the tools themselves or to assist them with it. So yeah, there's something for everyone.
And everyone has the opportunity to leverage it in their putting their best foot forward and
Absolutely.
to do it like that. I
Yeah.
think that the way that you explained that is excellent, and I think there's no substitute for experience and for long time knowledge. And I think that when the newer agents pay attention to their social media and leveraging everything that's at their fingertips with everything that the company offers, that they are able to adapt much faster than they would have been able to in
Yeah.
the past.
Yeah, and they should be paying attention to those seasoned agents as well, because they've been with us doing what they do for so long. I think it's a great education in and of itself. I mean, from where I started in the company working with some of our top agents right off the bat, I mean, you can't ask for a better education in real estate. I'm so grateful for that because I learned so much working with these highly successful agents. And in that office that I was in, they were female agents. They were, so our women leadership and these agents that we have, it was an inspiration for me coming in because it was very different from, I had come from an architectural engineering company that was very male driven and very, very different.
It was that way for a long time in real estate. I would sit in the national manager meetings or what have you. And I'm just being honest, for a long time, it was just blanket, almost 95% men. And as slowly, we've seen a lot more women come in. And I think that's great because I've worked with women as managers basically my whole career. And that's nice that you started to see that and got into it.
Yeah, especially coming in, not knowing anything, about the real estate, just be getting started in a real estate company. I can do marketing. Like I said, I had a graphic design background. I know how to create advertising, but I really didn't know much about real estate. So learning from the agents that were in that office that were so successful and that, kind of took me right along with them. I'm so grateful for that because I learned so much right away. It wasn't, I kind of was thrown right into it and loved every minute of it. But I do see now that, we're getting these really, young, motivated people coming in and signing up, getting into real estate for the first time. That's exciting for me too. So when they come in and, they're like, all right, how am I going to get that first listing? I mean, that's so exciting for me. I love, when they give me a call or send me an email saying, oh my gosh, guess what? I got that listing. We sent that mailer out.
I'm so glad to hear that. I was always wondering, should I even buy the name riders that say John McHugh? Will I ever even get a listing? And they're like, of course you will. But to have someone like you encourage them and to back that up, let them know that will happen. But they've got to be even more enthusiastic knowing they can start right away almost for free with your Instagram and Facebook accounts and just launch it. Just think,
that
when
Google
I started,
business page.
Right, 23 years ago, there was none of this social media and all that. It was postcards, knocking on doors, calling people. And I think if you knocked on someone's door right now, what would you think? Let me know. If I were to knock on your door, would you be a bit perturbed by that? Or would you think
Somebody's
it's
going to
normal?
talk through their ring, like, their
Right.
camera and be like, yeah, what do you want?
Right, and then it'll be on Instagram, right? So
Right?
let's just start with that,
Can you
right?
believe this agent came to, what believe the latest
Right.
TikTok?
And I love to be face to face with people. Like we said, online and meeting with Zoom is great, but I think for me, face to face, I'm a little old fashioned. I like to get to know people and I like to take a look at them. And,
Yeah.
that's how I get to know somebody.
Well, and I think that conversation too, meeting with somebody, getting to know who they are, getting to know, do your personalities mesh? Is this somebody that you could work with? And that doesn't need to be your first time meeting, but I do think it's important to know your surroundings too. If you're marketing a certain area, getting to know the local businesses, making sure you're going into those shops and restaurants and different businesses and just saying hi and, talk about the business a little bit, talk about the area. Nothing can substitute that, in my opinion. There's so much you can do with the social network, but I think, actually being out and meeting people is just still so important.
Everything is local and word of mouth is a huge thing. You're exactly right. You've got to get out there and you've got to put the time in. And it's not something that you're just going to take a weekend course and then be an expert in. The way
Yeah.
that I've usually described it is to a client, the best person for you to work with is whoever you think is going to work the hardest for you. And one benefit is if somebody has enough experience that when they do hit a brick wall, because there are ups and downs with anything good and bad, when they do hit a brick wall, someone with a lot of experience will have likely learned ways to navigate around it in the past so that if a problem does come up, they'll have multiple solutions at the ready instead of struggling to find that then.
Yeah.
So like you said, having a good background, a good base of preparation and knowledge of the community and experience is a great mix altogether. I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you, do you have any disaster stories with your job? Something that's gone horribly wrong. Now, I ask this of a lot of people, and I don't want to be bored. I want your best answer.
Yeah. So the only things that really come to mind, and when I used to panic when I first started with the company, when I would see we had print ads go out, and if there was the wrong photo or the wrong, address, and we would have, it happens, because it goes through many, many hands. It's not just through me. It's not just, it goes through there's a whole bunch of people that need to approve it. So it's never just one person. There's a lot to look at there. There's a lot of stats and things that go on the price and description and address. And, sometimes the photos are back and forth. Like I need to go back and get the grass now that it's green, that sort of thing. So there's a lot that can happen from, from A to Z. But I just remember sometimes seeing full page ads and I'd panic because I'd be like, they printed a typo or they printed this. And
You're detail oriented.
Oh, I am.
That is a disaster to her, right?
That's a disaster. But you know what? I want to say that even when something's like that, it gets talked about. And, as far as getting attention on your property or attention on your ad or attention, it depends on what kind, because of course we don't want somebody saying that's unprofessional or that's not. But if it's something where maybe there's a price improvement and it didn't catch it yet. Well, the person's going to be pleased as pleased can be if they're really looking at that, $19 million property and they find that it just dropped $3 million, so
Right,
there are
right.
things like that. But I remember, just kind of going over things and going home sometimes being like, did we get that new photo in, or was that price change added before that had to go to print? And I really didn't see too many of them. I remember one where there was a price situation. But like I said, if it gets the attention and you've got a $20 million buyer that's going to be pleased that they find out it's now 15, I don't think you can really go wrong there.
I think that's a
that's gonna
great
be okay.
example. I think that's great. And things like that do come up, and that shows you how detail oriented someone is if they're at home and they're thinking about the numbers and the
Yeah.
right photos coming in. Another addition of technology is pressing that button. And the minute you press it, it's out there. And as we know, when
Yeah.
it's on the internet, it's there forever. But
Yeah.
I think everyone's background in the fact that we all have so many people on our team
Yeah.
that are checking and double checking and making sure that everything's done right. So when that button is pushed, everything goes out, and you only get one chance to make a first impression, right?
Yeah. And you know what? That was absolutely it. We have so many people going over these things that, if it's a last minute price change or it's really beyond, it's beyond a control and it is something where it's just like, well, you know what, like this is getting attention. And I feel like there's always a way to flip it around too. There's always a way to turn that ad around and make it into a positive. So even like if the photo, maybe it wasn't the right angle, or maybe it wasn't, we had a newer photo, somebody's still going to be looking at that and get the attention that it deserves. And, there's still a way to work with it. So
No
I don't
publicity
know.
is bad publicity then. Huh?
Yeah, and I mean, we work with some really gorgeous properties. We have amazing photographers. So, yeah, we make it work.
That's great. Yeah, and I like the attention to detail and
Yeah.
all that. I feel like we just scratched the surface on with everything that you do. In my mind, I will always look at you as that one person where if nobody else can solve it, if it's so complicated, I've got to get to you, and you will definitely be able to solve it. And if not, you've had the time to sit down and help us work through all of the applications, all of the software, all of the tools that are available to agents, and specifically to me, because I'm not just speaking to you as somebody who works for the company, but someone who has used your help and has been appreciative of your knowledge for a long time, not just with those things, but with strategy, with branding. You do know a lot, and I hope that you and I will continue to work together for a long time. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course,
Pleasure.
Rachel. Rachel Jacobs with Cobalt Banker. I want to thank everyone for joining us on John McHugh Real Estate, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.